Okay, thanks again for joining us. It's really amazing to see so many of the states represented tonight, and we had a really good turnout last night as well. So hopefully we can give you guys a good amount of information on the work that we've been doing to gather the information that you guys need in order to make a good decision regarding this topic. So just to start out with a good quick overview, I think that everyone in each of their states are going through putting in the effort that they need in order to promote the profession. And currently throughout the nation, if you take a look at the whole nation as a picture, there's different kinds of credentials out there and titles that are being used for veterinary technicians, which does lead to a good amount of confusion on the public side as well as the veterinary profession. And we're all seeming to have a little bit of issues with promoting the value of the profession. So what NAVTA has proposed since a little while ago was to standardize the national credential in terms of the requirements itself to unite under a single and standard title. And in terms of the current status, when you take a person that is called a veterinary technician and take a look at that within each of the states, it could mean very different things. That the status of the credentialing itself could be based off of licensure that is governmentally regulated, or it could be privately credentialed by an organization, or it could mean that there's actually no credential at all, and people could call themselves veterinary technicians, whoever they might be. There's different credential titles that are associated: certified veterinary technician, registered veterinary technician, licensed veterinary technician, licensed veterinary medical technician, or no designation at all. And especially between the CVT and the RVT, it could be privately regulated or governmentally regulated. The educational requirement could be formal education through an AVMA accredited program, or potentially an informal process, which involves the alternate route or grandfathering, or there could be no requirement at all. The maintenance requirement for the credentials varies as well in terms of the number of CE that's required, which ranges from none to 20 hours per cycle. The scope of practice is different based off of what's stated in the Practice Act, as well as the rules and regulations. And if there's voluntary governance, then they have their documents that are in order, or there could be none also. So you can see that the term veterinary technician could mean many different things depending on the state that you're in. And so that's where NAVTA had issued a position statement regarding this, and this is just a portion of it, that the current credentialing systems, which vary state to state, has led to confusion for the veterinary consumer and within the veterinary profession. Establishing a single and standard title is the first step in the process to clarify the important role of the profession and provide enhanced patient care. Pets and pet owners are best protected and cared for by formally trained and credentialed veterinary nurses. And that's all on the website that you guys can take a look at for the whole statement.
We have goals of the National Credentialing Task Force, of course. And so taking a look at this is that we want to be able to establish one national standardized credential. That standardized credential that would include the credentialing process as well as the maintenance requirements to get there, and a standard scope of practice. That the goal of that being that wherever you go, whatever state you're in, you are practicing and you're allowed to do the same set of skills regardless of what state you're in. And of course, the second big goal of the National Credential is that we just have one nationally unified title, with the goal or the outcome of decreasing the confusion that we have amongst not only our profession, but our consumers as well. So some key reasons, taking a look at those goals. One is that we are really in need of elevating the professional standards of veterinary technology at this point. Because of that confusion and the different requirements in each state, we have different levels of professional standards. And one of the big reasons for this is that we need to have the same set of standards regardless of where we go within the United States, which is therefore going to assure better quality of care for our patients as well as our clients. We do have a big picture taking a look at this, is that we want to be able to establish that reciprocity between each of our states. So again, it doesn't matter where you go, your credentials can be recognized. And the big key reason, of course, veterinary consumer protection and patient care. Our consumers deserve to have qualified individuals caring for their pets at all times. So looking at the term veterinary nurse, that has been a term that has been thrown out, that is recognized by many, carrying out the duties on a level. And so if we were to use the term veterinary nurse, we would have improved public education and recognition of the profession. So many times I have heard veterinary technicians describe their roles to their clients or to people out in the public when we're asked what we do, and we'll say, well, veterinary technician, and people say, well, what does that mean? And we automatically go to the term, we're a nurse. We're a veterinary nurse that care for patients, and the people get it. And so that public education piece is there. That being said, is that nurses have worked very hard for the title that they have, and they deserve to have that education or that professional recognition for that title as well. We also can look at the term of veterinary nurse and look at the demand for qualified veterinary personnel, because you would have to have specific credentials and meet the requirements in order to carry that term, which is then going to lead to the demand for qualified veterinary personnel or veterinary nurses within the veterinary practice. And again, that leads to consumer protection and patient care. We really would like to be able to unify the profession, which would allow us to pursue larger goals for the veterinary technician or veterinary nurse type. And you know, a big piece is that we really need to be able to retain the best that we have. We have that high veterinary technician industry, and so being able to have better recognition, have respect for what we do, will certainly gain the best people that we already have within our practice. Taking a look at the National Credentialing Task Force, there's a lot of work that goes into this, and a huge amount of investigation. That's not just Ken and I that are putting together the work and doing the research. We have an amazing team that is helping us do research every week. Our National Credentialing Task Force meets every 2 weeks in order to carry out ideas. We brainstorm and we try to look for all solutions that are potentially available to us. So many of these names you guys may be familiar with, as they are some key players within our veterinary industry. So Carrie Jo Anderson from Florida, we have Hayden from New York, Ed Carlson, Massachusetts, Trish Gorman down in Florida, Frances Hyde and Pat Lynch, both from Florida, and Miss Jana McConnell from New Jersey. So again, you know, we have a great advisor, Catherine Terry, she's in California. It has been nothing but a great pleasure to be able to work with this task force that has an amazing amount of knowledge and skill to bring to this initiative. We have a projected timeline, of course, for all of this information because it is taking so much research. And that is one of the big pieces that is key, is this is not something that is going to happen overnight. It is absolutely critical that we do all of the investigations to look for all of the information to come to the best recommendation. We can't just jump to conclusions. We can't just be reactive. We have to look at every potential solution that's out there, determine if that's going to be the right pathway to take or if it's not going to be the right pathway to take. So for 2016, that's what we use this year for. And as we're coming down to the end, our goal is to be able to have an official term that we can adopt by the beginning of 2017. Now, what we say with clear signs of progress by 2020 is that we would like to start seeing those states make changes with whatever that terminology is, but also implementing the scope of practice and the Model Practice Act. So we still have quite a bit of work to do. We still have quite a bit of research to do, and every day brings us new information, which allows us to get closer and closer to that particular answer. So looking at our information gathering, of course, we have credential governance, we have state legislative processes we have to take a look at, and then, of course, how we're going to implement this term change. The term change itself, looking at the Model Practice Act and the scope that we would be able to implement into each of the states. With that becomes input from many different stakeholders that are in the veterinary industry. It is very important that we take the objections or the positive comments, veterinarians, as well as veterinary technician students, veterinary technician educators, practice managers. There are many associations that we are working with as well in order to get their input. It is very, very important that for this to succeed, that we get input from every angle possible. So this is working with AVMA and AAVSB. It is working with all of our state veterinary medical associations and our state veterinary technician associations. We have our VTS academies. You know, on the other side, we have our veterinary schools, our veterinary technician colleges that we need to work with. We're working very closely with the CVTEA of the AVMA. And, you know, there's so many stakeholders that we don't even have on here that we're working closely with. So please keep in mind that the amount of research is huge and that everybody's opinion is important in order to make this a success.